it can be kind of old fashioned in a way. All right, y'all. What's up? So I got some interesting topic. So we're gonna talk about INFJs. So something interesting about INFJs. A lot of people when they think about ISFJs, they thinking about like them being old fashioned and traditionalists and things like that. But what if I told you that INFJs can also be old fashioned? Um, Now, when you hear about people describing this sort of thing, a lot of times they're referring to, you'll hear them refer to it as having an old soul, which is true. INFJs do have old souls, but like most specifically, INFJs, they get stuck in their ways, kind of like how ISFJs do. Um, Now, I know a lot of people may not think of it like that, but it's actually very true. INFJs get stuck in their ways. ENFJs do too. It's also an ENFJ thing too. But the thing that's linked to that, the reason why they get stuck in their ways is because they got that low extroverted sensing. When you have low extroverted sensing, they're very selective about new information that they let in or new like you talking about like keeping up with the here and now. That's very much linked to the extroverted sensing. Um, like SE DOMs, like let's talk about ESFPs. ESFPs are always keeping up with the here and now. Even if they're not necessarily following everything, like they're not also always following trends, but like they keep up with the here and now, um, or ESTPs too, of course. But like, for instance, like ESFPs, they always have this sort of youthful sort of vibe about them. Even if they like older, they always could keep maintaining this youthful sort of presence and vibe, and they can always kind of stay in the here and now throughout their entire lives because of the simple fact of extroverted sensing being kind of like that. Um, Now, what can make it tricky observing it, I say, is ENFPs. I say ENFPs and ENTPs, they kind of can come off like that too, but it's a little different. It's more like they're just so open minded that they're always open to any type of new idea. So it's a little different. But you talking about extroverted sensing is always adapting to like the here and now. So like the reason why it's adapting to the here and now is because you talking about the two perceiving functions. Perceiving functions are always letting in information, new information. That's what this kind of his job is. Like NE and SE, the two functions that are always letting in new information. So when you're talking about INFJs having the low in they stack, they're very selective with information that they let in. Now, when you got low extroverted sensing, it can be mistaken as introverted sensing. You're talking about because it's an introverted function. You're talking about introverted sensing. High introverted sensing. High introverted sensing can sometimes get mistaken for low extroverted sensing mixed with um I kind of came to that conclusion from hearing you see the guy that I collab with, ENTP, he brought that up one time, but it's very true. But low extroverted sensing can get mistaken as that. It can take on some of the things when it's mixed with NI. So like they're very selective, kind of like how introverted sensing can become selective when they get older about letting in new experiences. They kind of introverted sensing can do that as well. But like in INFJs, it can do that. But like when you'll see it in INFJs, they can be kind of old fashioned in a way. Um, they can kind of just like doing things the way things used to be done, just simply because of the authenticity of certain things that they admire, and it like lines up with them. You know what I'm saying? And how they want to move throughout the world versus like trying to keep up with here and now and constantly keep up with new things coming in can be exhausting for them simply because it's just not as much in their nature to use extroverted sensing. Um, but yeah, it's just something interesting. Like um, a friend of my mom's growing up was an INFJ. And back when I was a kid, this was like people used to watch TV. Like that's the thing. It was always abnormal for us people not to watch TV. But this INFJ, for instance, she didn't have a TV in her house. She was just old fashioned like that. You know what I'm saying? But she was an INFJ from my memory. Just based on what I remember about her, she was an INFJ. Um, but yeah, just stuff like that. There was something else I was gonna say, but I kind of forgot. But yeah, anyways, this is kind of how it applies. Yeah, this is what I remember now. But anyways, to be honest with you, if you want to talk about who's better at keeping up with the here and now, you want to compare the two. ISFJs are actually better at keeping up with the here and now than INFJs are. Simply because, I mean, introverted sensing is a function that focuses on the way things have been done and the way things work for them. So they're like always trying to do things that work for them. But it's also it focuses on the here and now because it's thinking about how to apply the things that they learned in the past to right now. So it is aware of what's going on right now. Not as aware as extroverted sensing is, but it is also very aware of it. Um, but INFJs, they don't care as much about that. They care about, um, you know, they're more focused. They're focused on the future and things like that. But like here and now, not so much. You know what I'm saying? But um, like I said, it can be a little exhausting for them to keep up with everything. So you talking about when it comes to talking about extroverted sensing. And me as an extroverted sensor, I'm always aware of what's like things that are going on. I don't really follow everything. Of course, I'm not a follower at all, but I'm always like aware. I always try to find my like niche within like what's trending. It has to be authentic to me. You know what I'm saying? As an extroverted sensor, also me as a TI dom. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Um, like as far as like let's say scrolling down a timeline and taking in like news and like new things that's been going on, that's a very extroverted sensing sort of thing. I mean, everybody does it, but I feel like extroverted sensing is more geared towards that. You know what I'm saying? Because extroverted sensing is always scanning for information and taking in new information within the environment, and a timeline can be a manifestation of that. Um, except you could be taking in just new events that's happening throughout the world now. That's the technology for you. But anyways, that's pretty much what I want to say about that. It's a surprising fact about INFJs that some people may not realize it's actually true. You know what I mean? Because people tend to like oversimplify the functions, like they oversimplify what introverted sensing is, and things like that. But anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.